Hello there to another Broken Kidneys vlog. Don't forget to subscribe if you're finding this. I'm going to keep trying to keep up with these, and I'd love to see who is just interested in this. I'd love for people to comment as well. I don't really care about likes, but I love kind of seeing who's discovering these videos, and I'm definitely trying to tag them for people interested in this topic. And this is kind of an exploration to see how far these reach. But anyhow, I said I was going to start doing these updates, and I think it's important. I think it's really hard to record them because sometimes I just want to record when I'm feeling really emotional about something or strongly about something that's happening or that have big news. And I mean, today I actually kind of did have some big news, but I think one thing that I miss out on boards as I try to read about dialysis and when people chose to go on dialysis or not is I don't get a really good understanding of like who they are and what their lifestyle is like, and like just it sounds like people are very, very different. I mean, we all are different, right, of why you might be in a situation where you need kidney a transplant or dialysis, or you're having kidney issues. But all I can do is share my story and put myself out there as a data point, an example for people to follow. So last vlog I talked about my kidney evaluation on November 11th. I got approved. I talked about what that whole process was. My sister is currently getting screened, which is awesome, and I'm so thankful that I have a brother and sister. I'm one of 5 kids who are willing to get tested. I myself gave 19 tubes of blood, and so today I just had a weekly check-in, or I'm checking in with my nephrologist like every 6 weeks or so, and he had always said, like, once your creatine gets to 5.8, probably will mean your GFR is at 8%, and that's when we for sure need to ship you off to get your dialysis surgery. And sitting there in the lab today, I went and got labs done before the little routine where I go to the Redwood City location for Stanford and then down to the hospital for the appointment, because they're really quick with the labs. And unfortunately, my creatine had jumped from 5.3 last week to 5.8 this week, and my GFR is at 9%. So per him, if I don't recover any function in the next 2 weeks, we're going to schedule my dialysis surgery. I have chosen to do, I cannot say it, peritoneal dialysis, PD. I think I just said it right. Yes. There's 2 different types. There's hemo and peritoneal, and I'm going to go to the transplant center. So to learn more about it, and it's another opportunity to actually film and see what it's about. I've watched actually a lot of other videos on YouTube about it, but I need to go check it out. I probably need to buy a new nightstand. I need to figure out with my dogs, all that good stuff. So there's that. But yeah, so the appointment, you know, was a little disappointing, but we talked about the symptoms. There's been a big symptom check every time with the end-stage kidney disease and things I need to look out for. And one is if I start swelling a bunch. I had that earlier, so in November now, but in August I started having some swelling issues on and off when I was eating too much salt. So I've greatly reduced my salt. Everything in my house is salt-free or low sodium, or I have very small amounts of stuff. I don't salt anything I cook anymore. Mrs. Dash, and thankfully I'm like always been into seasonings and stuff, and I have this great seasoning book. I should do a whole other video on food. And then I also I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, symptoms, and losing my train of thought is kind of one of them. So swelling, cognitively, sorry, I keep brushing the mic. You can get a little slower, and I've definitely felt that for the last several months. I get a little worried about driving. I don't drive a really long distance now to go to work, and it's all on surface streets. Like there's too much going on a highway. I'm a very detail-oriented person, very type A, and I feel like last couple months I've definitely become kind of like suddenly gotten ADD, or just like I can't focus, or also being overwhelmed. And my jaw keeps popping, and it's driving me bananas. So that's a symptom I've also been suffering with. And then I get muscle twitches on and off, which is like a potassium related thing, and like toxins building up and making your muscles twitch. And so is the cognitive thing. Just like there's extra shit, floating around in my system. And so that can make muscles do the funky twitching, cognitively be a little bit slower, and then also the breathing. And I have noticed a little bit more winded breath. I am totally out of shape, but like even talking right now, I can kind of get it just a little bit. It's not every day. So I think those are the major. Oh, nauseousness, and I've been getting nauseous on and off more lately. It hasn't been enough that I emailed my doctor, but I have noticed more in passing that I seem to be like, oh, I'm not really hungry right now, or I kind of feel weird after eating something. And I think more and more, I don't necessarily want to eat dinner, but I try to think of something that's like delicious and eat it. But with my phosphorus being a little bit higher, it'll double down and especially just give my kidneys kind of a break. Although it's this tipping point, right? Like if dialysis is going to make me feel better and I'm going to such extreme odds to like 100% restrict my diet, like when do I switch? And that's been a big question ever since about 2.5 months ago. My doctor said, choose what kind of dialysis you want to do. So I, I was like, oh, I'll just make it a really long time. But, if your quality of life is going down, like, yeah, I don't want to be tied to a machine for several hours a night. I hopefully can just, he hasn't said I can't do PD dialysis, so I can hopefully do it at home at night while I'm sleeping, but it's still like 9 or 10 hours hooked up to a machine and like a rigorous process every single night. But my transplant nurse was like, some people just get so used to feeling crappy that they accept it and they forgot how good they could feel. And I don't know if I'm reaching that limit and that tipping point. And I feel like what's really hard to go read on forums is a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I should have done it sooner. But again, I don't know kind of what people's lifestyles are. So I'm someone who's going to work. I work at a high functioning job that I have to it's very detail oriented, have to pay attention. And it's a computer, I can sit at a computer all day and do it, but I'm still in meetings, being personable. And I try to be as normal as I can at work, but it's draining. And it's getting harder to wake up and roll out of bed in the morning or want to put makeup on. And I just, the last couple of days, I've just been wanting to stay in bed, and I'm like, is this a sign that I'm done kind of fighting off of dialysis? I don't know. So anyhow, yeah, so also with food, I've got to start taking phosphorus binders, which I kept reading about, and it turns out a phosphorus binder, at least it makes it so your system doesn't absorb as much phosphorus. And a really easy starting one is TUMS. So now I have to eat TUMS with every meal. So yay, I gotta bring them to work. Just thinking about that. And Thanksgiving is in 2 days, so I also need to prepare a very kidney friendly Thanksgiving meal. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to cheat and have a bite of stuff, but I just, at this point, even if I think I'm going to end up on dialysis, I shouldn't, it doesn't help me to just go full, because it takes, my understanding, quite a bit of time to I'll have to get scheduled, and then I'll have to, the site will have to heal. So I could just, I don't know what days of cheating is worth as far as my health, and it shouldn't be. It's just very hard, and those who have kidney disease can relate. For at least for the most part, you don't feel there's nothing. My friend who has Crohn's, if he eats the wrong thing, he's in the bathroom, he feels it, that's it. That's how it works. And with kidney disease, the kidney transplant nurse made a really good point. You can lose 75% function and not feel a thing. So yes, so anyhow, to recap, if you're still here, yeah, I'm at the 2.5 mark, no dialysis yet. We'll see again in 2 weeks. My creatinine is 5.8, GFR 9, and is, you know, as far as I'm getting by day to day. I was really tired today. I'm also honestly like PMSing a little bit, and I've been reducing my prednisone too, so that could also be some of it. And my sleep apnea has not been great, so I have many things as always to point to why I'm exhausted. So anyhow, hopefully this is helpful for someone. I'm gonna try and spice these up. I actually tried to film a little bit at Stanford today, which I know is kind of like, I like did a bunch of covert like selfies and stuff like that. And I asked the phlebotomist if I could just film her taking my blood and stuff like that. There's another one who I talk to all the time who probably would let me, but I might also, just so they don't get nervous, get permission ahead of time. But I'll definitely try to film going to the dialysis center and checking out the machines, and then also try to film my kidney safe Thanksgiving and what I'm preparing. So again, leave comments or questions, definitely subscribe, and tell me who's all watching. And yeah, have a good night. Bye. Oh, and I gotta turn it off because I'm lazy and I don't want to edit. Not yet. Okay, bye.